Two people already. Hey, what's going out there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. I've got my man's JOR-ELS here, and we are about to dissect the 8th season, first episode, Mercy. What's going on, JOR-ELS?
What's going on? Ready to talk about the premiere to the 100th episode, which is insane.
It is, man. Like I had to bring it out. Like I hadn't worn this in like 2 seasons. I was like, I got to bring the old school Rick Grimes t-shirt out. But
yeah, I had to represent my boy, Negan.
that's hilarious. All out war. So you get what we did here. We didn't plan this, you guys. We didn't plan it.
Yeah. This is. I need to find a really dope definitive hoodie I can wear each Walking Dead Sunday.
Man.
It's someone. I feel like there should be a website dedicated to dope Walking Dead hoodies that I need to shop at.
No, I actually agree. That'd be really cool. But all right, let's go ahead and get into this episode. Me and JOR-ELS actually had a lot of conversation, you guys, about whether or not the prospect of going and doing reaction to this episode, and like, were we really going into this episode really hyped about the fact that this is the 100th episode? And one of the things that we kind of paralleled on was the fact that as far as this was marketed, it really didn't have that kind of weight. We saw the Talking Dead, we saw like the early stuff, but it wasn't even 2-hour episodes, so we didn't know what we were going to get. But surprisingly, like, I guess me and JOR-ELS are both agreeing on that there's a lot of meat to this episode. And I think it was directed and paced very well. But I'm curious, what did you think about the pacing and just the way that they did this episode?
Yeah, I just got done doing I did like a 30-minute dissection of this episode that's up on my channel right now. I did a bit of a deep dive because I thought this was a strong opener. I thought the pacing and all the core elements were completely solid, actually, which is interesting going into the episode because I was kind of just casually excited. Wasn't like me and you were talking about. I wasn't really like hyped per se. I wasn't like running with adrenaline, like, oh my god. But I was just curious more than anything, like where are we going? I don't follow the Spoiling Dead. I am not up to date with comic books, so there's a lot of unknowns, question marks for me. But no, I think I thought they started off really strong, a strong opener, actually, contrary to Forbes and goddamn IGN, dirty bastards. But anyway.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was worried about the different jumps in time. Like, they didn't, use like a clock or a date, to specifically show, where we were leaping in time, because it was starting off with Rick very much so emotional and crying, then to this epic monologue and conversation with the leaders, then to like him being at a gravesite with 2 different people dead, then to this future scene that I don't know if it's a dream, I don't know if it's real, but it was very visceral and it immersed me the whole entire time, which I felt like they could have easily dropped the ball on that, but they didn't, surprisingly. I thought they did a really good job with going back and forth in time.
No, yeah, I would agree. But so do you think that when we see Rick at the gravesite, you think that's its own separate branch of time? Because yeah. I guess just to clarify really quick, as I described in my review, they're doing some weird shit with time. So they're showing multiple timelines at once. It's particularly in the opening 3 minutes of the episode. So there's old man Logan Rick with the cane. There's the present day where they're about the bomb rush to the sanctuary. And then there's the one that is really cryptic, where it's just a close-up on Rick's face, and there's some bizarre window pane, some multicolored medieval-looking window pane next to him that's casting this weird rainbow reflection on his face. So yeah, it seemed like there was 3 timelines kind of dancing around each other throughout the episode. But you're thinking that when we see him at the gravesite, you're thinking that's its own separate unknown timeline? Because I didn't interpret it that way, but
I do, because the only reason why I do is because there are different moments where he's at that same exact grave site. It's not like it was kind of just like a one-track thing. And then it was even more interesting that, you know, the site where, you know, like you said, talk about the close-up shot where he was, I don't know if he was quoting scripture or if he was giving like kind of a parable. But it kind of seemed like it was going to come off of that to like, okay, this is the aftermath after the point. And now we're going to get and see, you know, who's the person that's died, how's he, you know, grieving over that or dealing with that. And I mean, I think all of it surrounds what is it going to take to get to the place of old man Rick, you know? Like, I feel like we got to see all different emotional stances on that, like the realization of death, the emotional turmoil that it's going to take to actually win this, if they're going to win it. You know, the beginning stages of getting everybody together. Because that was one of the things about the 7th season I was like really particular about. I was like, how are they going to get all these groups and factions together? And seeing this episode kind of solidified it to me. Like, it was a couple of different people. It was like, oh, well, you're helping me. And we're like, we're helping each other, you know? Like, and then even like seeing like Tara and Carol just sitting up there like ready to, you know, slay some people. And it brought everything full circle, that everything that happened in the 7th season, all these different factions, bringing them together, it makes sense now. It's not just like on paper makes sense. I can actually see it. But yeah, I think for me personally, I think that the grave site, that's a whole different stance. And I think depending on how it's going to come out, I'm really curious. It was weird, though. I've never seen the episode done like that.
That's interesting, because to me, when we first see Rick making a speech at the beginning of the episode, when he's making that opening speech, personally, I just interpreted the gravesite moment as like that's what he did that morning before the speech. But I could totally be wrong. But that's how I took it. I didn't see him at the gravesite where there's bodies buried there. I didn't see that as its own separate timeline, like old man Rick with a cane, but I could totally be wrong.
No, I guess it would make sense. If that is Glenn and Abraham, then that would make sense what you're saying. If that's Glenn and Abraham, then yeah, absolutely. But if it's somebody else, I feel like it would be really weird. I don't know. There's no way of me being able to know, but I guess if it's able to make us think, then I guess they're doing something right here. But I guess what was the strongest thing about the episode for you, though? I was really curious about that.
The strongest thing about the episode isn't necessarily one particular thing; it was multiple things. I loved the. And I know that people who've seen my review, I'm kind of regurgitating a lot here, but again, I think it's the steady pace, multiple character narratives happening and crisscrossing all at once in one episode. Those two are huge positives. Because I'm so done with these episodes where it's like just Morgan, just the governor. Like, stop that shit. It's so boring. What else was really strong? And I thought that the way that they played with time was really interesting. It didn't feel overbearing, and it made me really curious as to what's to come, which for a show that's on its 100th episode, it's pretty impressive. So I think those are probably like the big core positives. Those were big to me, and I hope those positives don't just fall away for like the next 5 episodes. I hope they keep this train moving. I think that each episode should be multiple character narratives all at once. Yeah. Every episode, you know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to wait 3 or 5 episodes seemingly to see what's going on with the Kingdom or the Hilltop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this was definitely a really well done narrative, in the sense that it didn't feel like a one episode condensed episode. It felt like, okay, this is where we're going to track in this episode, and this is going to expand out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that one of the biggest things is I thought that the group did a really good job strategically, you know, getting to their checkpoints, doing what they needed to do. And it was like, I was sitting there processing. I was like, to what end, you know, kind of thing. And the episode left me with this huge question mark. Is like, was Negan prepared for all that? Like, is he prepared for all that? Like, was it all talk, you know? Or was it that, you know, he really very much so is prepared and this is just, you know, him kind of waiting it out? I really don't know, because the last time, you know, when Sasha died and he got totally ambushed, he didn't see it coming, kind of situation. But this time they leaving me up in the air. Like when Carol and them, you know, they saw that one thing and then it exploded. Then you hear a whole bunch of walkers coming. I was like, okay, is that Negan's strategy? Is that, you know, his dire plan? And that's what I liked about this episode. I felt like, okay, I got to look at the next episode to see where this is going to progress to. It's not like this is just one great episode. Like, okay, this is going to build into an interesting narrative. And I think that that's a very strong thing that they could do. I think that's one of the best things that they could do, because if they came out with just a great episode and then the next episode was like, you know, kind of like you said, like a one-tracked episode, I think that would have deviated from what they did here. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on was, you mentioned, like, was Negan ready? Was he prepared? I really don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't even know that he knows. I think the answer is yes and no. Yeah, because, like, I feel like Negan will always refuse to admit when he's down, you know, or like, I feel like it's hard for Negan to speak to the fact that, like, fuck, maybe Rick and them can surprise me, because I think he was surprised. Well, first off, at least in the interaction Rick had with Negan this episode, he was not ready. Negan was not ready. Maybe Negan was ready in the sense that, like, nah, they're not about to come and kill all my people and myself today. No. But Negan was not ready for that interaction, for sure not. I think he was probably like, what the fuck? There's just zombies, there's exploding RVs, these motherfuckers got armored cars. That's what I should have said in my I was trying to search for the words, but I was in a rush. That's what I should say. They came in armored cars and shit. So yeah, I don't think Negan was ready, at least for that initial interaction.
Yeah,
and it looks like Negan got shot in the leg. I didn't have time to confirm, but it appeared that he got shot either in the hip or the leg. That's what it appeared. Anyway,
I don't know if he got shot or he got injured by the explosion. And the other thing about the explosion, which I thought was very iconic, is the fact that they used what is it, Dale's RV to do the explosion, because that's the same exact RV, and that thing has survived everything, and then they just armored it up and just like exploded that crap. Yeah. The other thing, when Carl was walking through the woods by himself the first time and he heard that guy, that's the same exact location place where freaking his dad started. Like before he killed the little girl in episode 1, that's the same exact area.
Yeah. I mentioned that in my review too. It's like a callback to season 1, the introduction of Carl, which I thought was pretty cool.
I freaked out.
Yeah, I guess not to sidetrack, but like, what do you think? I don't know. Like, let's say that there's backlash for this episode. Let's just say, right? Because I saw IGN, they put out some little blurb about how they thought this episode was boring, and I was like, really? What the fuck? Like, nah, man. Like it. The Terra episode was boring. I thought this episode was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're becoming a generation where we got very very short attention spans, and we don't want to think and prospect of where things are going to go. It's like, if we know, all right, this person's going to die or somebody's going to die in this episode, like, all right, this is a fixed point that we can think about, versus like, okay, development, narrative, you know, positioning, like progression, you know, those are things that I feel like at least the people that are doing the reviews are saying that, you know, people don't care about that. And I mean, I'd have to disagree with IGN if they're saying that, because this was not a boring episode. This wasn't boring at all. It just, it's building to something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like, I don't think this was their best, you know, go-getter first episode. But I do think that from a narrative standpoint, this is very strong and bold where they're going with this, because I don't know what's going to happen. And the way that they've done these different storylines, you know, from the time jumps, I don't know what's going to happen. I love that. I actually really do love that.
Yeah. And just to clarify, yeah, they IGN put out this video. It's called The Walking Dead Season 8 Premiere is an All-Out Bore. It's got 381 likes to 924 dislikes at the current time.
Man, that's some whack sauce.
Yeah, man, I thought this was a fantastic episode. Like, I know that Chris Hardwick, he said that this episode, like, he said something while he was live, like, oh, this is an action-packed episode. I highly disagree. I thought this was very focused on tension and, like,
it was
suspense and unpredictability from both sides, the Alexandrians and the Sanctuary. Like, it was difficult to say, like, fuck it. Negan just got to get the upper hand again, or, like, are we finally going to see Rick do something? You know? I really like that tension. And again, I thought the pacing was just incredible in this episode. I don't think there was a single moment where I was bored or felt like I was about to start nodding off like that Terra episode, which apologies for people who love the episode, but my God, that's one of my most hated episodes from the series. Okay, that episode was hot garbage. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, get out of here. I think the only time in this premiere for episode 100 that I felt like well, I mean, there were several nitpicks, but one of my nitpicks was this moment where, because you know how Carl, like, when we first see Carl and his dad shows up and he shoots the gun over that stranger's head and the stranger runs off, right? Okay, so we fast forward scenes when we see Carl again and he leaves food for that stranger. That was the only moment where I thought I was gonna be triggered, like with the Terror episode. I was like, no, don't spend time here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't care. I don't care. Get out of here. Let's go back to the exploded RV. Like, get out of here. But that was it.
Yeah.
Nitpick. I do have some flaws with the episode, but that was definitely one moment in particular where I thought I was about to be like, oh no, the episode's fucking up, but no, it was fine.
Yeah, I think that they definitely subtly did that scene because I think it's gonna open up to another group, another faction. A lot of people are debating the Whisperers or another group. I really do feel like it's gonna be a connection to that. We're gonna see that guy again. It's kind of gonna be like the Jesus situation when they kind of just randomly came upon Jesus and then they got connected to the hilltop. I think it's gonna be the same situation, but I'm just curious to see where they're gonna go. But they just kind of subtly did it. They were like, okay, we're gonna show a little bit of Carl's humanity, and we're gonna see either it's gonna go left or right. And I feel like it's gonna go right. I don't think it's gonna be good. This is not a show that benefits from you being a nice person. Like Father Gabriel can attest to that. I don't know what.
Oh my God,
he was
that
thinking.
That part had me so triggered. Not in the sense that I thought the show fucked up, but I was just like, the character Gabriel, like, what are you doing? That was like the most illogical decision ever.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, what? Why? What was he thinking in that moment?
I don't know, man.
Like, in all honesty, I was literally saying to the screen, the Gabriel, you might just kill yourself, bro. It's fucked up. But hey, you made a fucked up decision. So I honestly, guy, you should just shoot yourself. You just put yourself in like the worst case scenario ever. You know what I mean?
He really did. He really put himself in a bad situation. And it's kind of just like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't know. Do you think that's a character flaw, or do you think that's a flaw from the writing of the episode standpoint? Because that just felt so illogical.
No, I think that, to be quite honest with you, one of the things about Father Gabriel ever since he got his sanity back and really has actually contributed to the group, he's tried to maintain his beliefs and his human civility. Like his beliefs in the sense of what's right and what's wrong, based on, biblical context, but not just that. Like he, even in this episode, was telling Rick, like, you need to stay put, like focus on what we got to do. He did that with Sasha. He did that with Rosita last year, and so I feel like that's definitely a plus and a minus for him as a character. It just was kind of just like, from a common sense standpoint, to me, it would have benefited him to just leave it alone, like, at least stay in your car, like beep the horn or whatever, but don't get out of the car. Like I was just like, this man's about to get shot. And I don't know if he deserves it or not, but I think that's a part of his character, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, he would deserve to get shot. What the hell was his fool thinking? Okay. Gregory? Yeah, let me go say Gregory. Why? Like he just blatantly just showed the middle finger to everyone, basically, metaphorically speaking, with his actions in this episode. Like, really? You gotta say that guy? Kid, give me a break. Like, what a horrible decision. Oh my god.
It was bad. It was bad.
But they pulled some like critical information from this fool, like. Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely be some ramifications with this. And that's the thing. Like when we what was it last year? We had Negan go and take Rick randomly off somewhere to just this horde of zombies, and he was just as calm and collected as he could be. And I don't know if that's because he planned it or if he's just that crazy. And he's in the same exact situation now. And I feel the same that way. And I think that attests to how good Jeffrey Dean Morgan is as an actor. Like, I really can't tell, one way or another. Like, he's sitting there trapped around this horde. And yeah, I was talking about you. But I guess we'll see where that's going to go. But it was a strong episode. But what did you rate it, though, as far as a number?
Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10 in my review. I thought it was a strong opener. I thought it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I was gonna give it a 9, but I think what I started doing, I started going and comparing it to, like, the previous openers, and nothing's ever gonna top like the first episode of season 7. I don't think they're ever gonna top that, but they did a really good job in making me intrigued. Like, I feel like looking at this episode, it brought up why I watched The Walking Dead, why I'm actually excited to see more episodes. It definitely was kind of like, if this was what Batman Begins is, then the rest is going to be this progression, like into the Dark Knight, into Dark Knight Rises kind of feeling. I think it feels like it's just a really good setup of the narrative. So let's we'll see. And yes, Hangouts is that. I completely agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't stand it. But no, yeah, again, I thought it was a strong opener. I don't know what IGN is fucking talking about. Them and Forbes. Even though I do like to read Forbes Walking Dead reviews sometimes, because they do have some excellent points. Most of the time they're just hating. But I thought this was a strong opener. It's just like please don't drop the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree, man.
My impatience are at an all-time high. But they did great tonight, though, I thought.
Yeah, I'm definitely there come next episode. Like, I'm not gonna, just kind of go and run tell that like I did with Fear the Walking Dead, which we will not name or talk about. But for those that are, I'm saying, like, no, all jokes aside, any of you guys that want, to get more of the Fear the Walking Dead stuff from me, just let me know in the comment sections below. I'll try to get back to doing reviews for them. I just don't know if I'll do reactions for them. But
I fill out the Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know if I'll be getting back on. Maybe I will. I don't know. I don't understand why people are. I can't even tell if the crowd, like, if the consensus is that the Fear the Walking Dead is great or not. I have no idea. But I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, I think Fear is better than The Walking Dead. I'm like, what are you smoking? Whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just very different, and I think that I'll definitely watch it just because I want to see where this is going to go as far as this crossover. But me and Jarrell, we'll go into this a little bit later on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed our live discussion. Thanks for tuning in. I think it's like maybe 10 of you guys here. You guys are amazing, and we'll be back next week. Oh, and definitely go down to the description right below. Check this guy's channel out. It's amazing stuff. He's got some really dope reviews for trailers, movies, and everything you can think of. He's got a movie in the pipe that hopefully is going to be released this year or at the beginning of next year. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, peace out, guys.
Peace.